This is Frontline on Air. Major stories on the go.
Random enforcement of KYC rules is denying the poor their own money and dignity. Banks are freezing accounts without warning, forcing people to make costly trips to distant branches and pay bribes just to access pensions and wages. Jean Drez, Vipul Paikra, Natasha Trivedi.
Voice by Rakesh Sharma, Timber Media.
Ashok Parhaiya lives on the margins of subsistence in Uchwabal, a small village in Jharkhand's Latehar district. 3 of his children receive scholarships, but they are unable to withdraw the money because their bank accounts have been frozen. KYC laga hua hai. KYC has been enforced, explains Ashok. This is the common expression used in the area to mean that an account has been frozen until the customer completes the Know Your Customer KYC or KYC formalities. The formalities require each of Ashok's children to authenticate their Aadhaar number at a local customer services center, CSC, then take the authentication certificate to the bank, fill up a form, and submit both with the requisite documents. Ashok has no idea how to go about this. The CSC operators keep asking him for money which he does not have. So, Ashok has given up for the time being. Many others in Ashok's village have similar problems. Some can afford to bribe the CSC operators, but there are other hurdles. First, the banks are hopelessly overcrowded. Second, KYC requires the Aadhaar demographic details to be fully consistent with the bank account details. Third, after the whole ordeal, the customer is still at the bank's mercy for timely reactivation of the account. Reactivation often takes a long time as the local banks are understaffed. Inquiries reveal that bank accounts have been frozen en masse in Jharkhand. In a survey of 3 villages in Latehar district conducted in October 2024, almost 40% of the 72 sample households had at least one frozen bank account. In most cases, this is due to KYC problems. Elderly pensioners who depend on their meager pensions, children who receive scholarships, and women entitled to 1,000 rupees per month under Jharkhand's new Jharkhand Mukhyamantri Maiya Saman Yojana are unable to withdraw their money. When we went to these villages, we had no prior inkling of the KYC issue. According to the local manager of the State Bank of India, the epidemic of freezing bank accounts is due to recent instructions from the Reserve Bank of India that require all Aadhaar-linked accounts to be re-registered. The manager admitted that accounts are being frozen without prior intimation from the back end. The operation, staggered over time, will result in more accounts being frozen until KYC formalities are completed. Senior SBI officials in the state capital of Ranchi, however, denied that the RBI had issued such instructions and claimed that SBI was simply applying the RBI's general KYC guidelines. Periodic renewal of KYC details, we were told, is necessary in view of rampant fraud in the banking system. Special mention was made of fraud in the Aadhaar-enabled payment system, AEPS. No doubt, the AEPS is vulnerable to fraud, as Jharkhand's very own scholarship scam involving the illegal diversion of the centre's scholarship funds for students from disadvantaged minority communities illustrates. But the scholarship scam had nothing to do with faulty KYC. It is likely that the same applies in most AEPS-enabled scams. In a mess. This is not to deny that faulty KYC may be a problem with some Aadhaar-linked accounts. The main reason behind it, however, is the mess created by the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, JDY. When the JDY was launched in 2014, millions of accounts were opened in a hurry to meet centrally assigned targets. Aadhaar numbers were seeded without biometric verification, and demographic details were entered haphazardly from Aadhaar cards. As is well known, Aadhaar demographic details are not reliable in the first place. Perhaps the re-registration of Aadhaar-linked accounts is an attempt to clean up this mess. For many individuals, a significant challenge with KYC compliance is the requirement for complete consistency of demographic details between their Aadhaar card and bank account. In cases where Aadhaar is the identity document initially used to open the account, this consistency may seem to be guaranteed. Alas, not. People often update their Aadhaar details for various reasons, such as incorrect data entry, change of address, and so on. When they go for KYC, an inconsistency emerges between the bank account and the Aadhaar card. In this situation, according to the local SBI manager, people are asked to correct the Aadhaar card to resolve the inconsistency. This correction, however, risks introducing new inconsistencies between the Aadhaar database and other databases such as job cards and ration cards. When we pointed out to a senior SBI manager in Ranchi that this task of aligning Aadhaar with multiple databases is an ordeal for many, he shrugged and said, "This is a one-time exercise." This response is characteristic of the ignorance of senior bank officials. Drunk on digital records, they're unable or unwilling to see the problems people face on the ground. Running from counter to counter. In a follow-up survey in 4 villages of Lohardagga, a neighbouring district where most people have accounts with Bank of India, the situation was just as bad as in Latehar, except in one village that had a bank branch. In that village, most people had functional accounts, presumably because they had easy access to the bank. In the other villages, 76% of the 147 households surveyed had at least one frozen account. We conducted a pilot survey in Goti Dumer, a small village in Lundra block of Sarguja district in Chhattisgarh. Goti Dumer is inhabited by Pahadi Korwas, a particularly vulnerable tribal group. The nearest bank branch is in Dhaurpur, 8 kilometers away, and the district headquarters is 50 kilometers away in Ambikapur. A few years ago, a banking correspondent from the SBI branch in Baghima, 35 kilometers away, came to Goti Dumer and opened bank accounts for most residents. Recently, when some of them tried to withdraw money from a CSC, they were sent away and told to visit the home branch in Baghima for KYC. When they visited Baghima, they were told that their accounts had been transferred to Ambikapur. Many of them ran from counter to counter in Ambikapur, all in vain. Meanwhile, they were unable to access their pensions or the money earned from work under the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, MGNREGS, the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi, or from the collection of Tendu leaves. It is only after a local non-profit intervened that at least some KYC problems were resolved. At the time of the pilot survey in early October 2024, the situation in Goti Dumer was still problematic. At least 40 individuals had KYC problems in a small village of 50-odd households. It is likely that the situation in Latehar, Lohardagga and Sarguja districts is just the tip of the iceberg. While follow-up inquiries are in progress, they are unlikely to overturn the basic message of these investigations. The entire KYC process needs urgent review in the light of the burden it imposes on banks and, more importantly, on the public. Only extreme circumstances can justify stopping people from accessing their own money.
Jodhrez, Vipul Paikra and Natasha Trivedi are independent researchers. Special thanks to Enrega Sahayata Kendras in Jharkhand for their generous cooperation and to Aarti Singh for leading the Goti Dumer survey.
This is Frontline on Air. Major stories on the go.